I'm David ben Moshe, and I have with me, as usual, Chaim ben Pesach. I moved out west with my wife, who is Ashadina of JTF, and she had to go back to California to go get some things to set up in our new house. And so we took a drive. I have an SUV because she's a great singer, and we have to carry the equipment, and it's not practical having a car. So we have an SUV with the back seats that go down, so we have, I guess you could say it's a station wagon, a very high station wagon. And where we live, it's very hilly. You need four-wheel drive, and you need a six-cylinder engine. A four-cylinder just won't cut it where we are because there's so many hills and so many steep grades. So we don't get the greatest gas mileage because it's an SUV with a 6. And so we're driving through California, and we have to make a lot of stops, whether it's to go to the bathroom or to get something to eat or pick up a snack or to fill the gas tank up constantly. And we're going up from, well, let's just say we're driving through the almost about half the length of the state. And we're heading towards Salinas, which is a sanctuary city in a sanctuary state. But before we get to Salinas, wherever you stop for gas, wherever you go to eat, wherever you go pick up a snack, everybody's a Mexican. Whether they're serving you, whether you're eating in the restaurant and you look around at the other eaters, everybody's a Mexican. I think we saw one white couple in our entire trip to get to Salinas and back. In Salinas, there were a few whites, very few. It's a sanctuary city. A lot of the Mexicans left because the economy is so bad, and it's still 100% Mexican. I joke around and say that if China or Iran sends a missile into California, it's not our problem. That's Mexico's problem, because California doesn't belong to us anymore. It's all Mexican, and we need a solution, and we need one fast. They want to boycott Arizona because Arizona passed a law, not really getting tough on illegal Mexicans, but just like backing up what the existing federal law is. The governor of Arizona said to President Barack Hussein, if you're not going to do anything, we'll go it on our own, we'll take care of it. And I'm not so sure that's constitutional because this is a specific job of the federal government. I like the fact that the governor is going to try it. Texas may be next to try it. A lot of states support it. Of course, California is not one of those states. California wants to boycott Arizona. Well, I say let them. It works two ways. Doesn't Arizona supply a lot of power to California, a lot of electrical power? A boycott could work two ways. But as I said in an earlier video that I did with Chaim just a few minutes ago, I hope you'll watch it, that part of the job of the federal government is to regulate commerce between the states. And by regulate, I don't mean put a tariff on one state. It's just the opposite. It's to make sure commerce flows between the states. Because as a nation, we are supposed to be 50 sovereign states with specific powers defined to the federal government, and the rest of the power, outside anything that's not defined to the federal government and which is in the Constitution, which is not unconstitutional, is left for the states and the people of those states. And somebody's got to take care of the illegal problem, because it's not 12 million as the government states, it's 22 million. And you hear people screaming, deport them all. Well, I'd like to take it a step further. If you have 20, say, Mexicans, I'm just going to say Mexicans, doesn't mean all the illegals are. Most are, but I'm not going to say all are. If you have 20 that come across the border, you have 20 illegal immigrants who broke our law, who should be put in prison for a while and then deported. But when you have 20 to 30 million, that's an invasion. And just what do you think you do with invaders? Chaim, how are we going to fix this problem?
Well, obviously we need completely new leaders, and the only way we're going to have completely new leaders, as we said on a previous program, is if we have a mass movement, an uncompromising right-wing mass movement of righteous Gentiles who are prepared to take back America. This problem can be fixed. If there was the will on the part of the American people, the problem can be fixed. How do you fix the problem? First of all, you have troops put on the border with shoot-to-kill orders. You build a fence, and you have troops on the border, and they shoot to kill anybody trying to cross that border illegally. Believe me, after the first 3 or 4 shootings, with all the uproar and everything else, that would end the illegal crossings. They don't want to die. That they don't want. And they're not particularly brave people, by the way, the illegal aliens that try to come across from Latin America. They're not particularly brave people. They don't come from a particularly brave culture. And so that's the way you stop the problem in terms of people coming across the border illegally. And, of course, at the airports and anywhere else, you also have to have very strict monitoring of who comes into the country. Now, in addition to that, the only way you're really going to solve this problem is to mobilize the United States military and law enforcement and go door to door and check on all businesses and make sure that everybody working in all establishments is an American citizen or is here legally. Either an American citizen or is a legal resident of the United States. If they're here illegally, they should be arrested immediately. They should be taken into custody immediately. And by the way, they should not be given all of these wonderful accommodations. I saw, by the way, with my own, I spent 5.5 years in the federal prison system when I was arrested and convicted of setting off bombs against Soviet diplomatic targets in the 1980s to protest the mistreatment of Soviet Jews. And when I did, I was the head of the Jewish Defense League. We led a campaign to free Soviet Jews. So I was in the federal prison system 5.5 years. In the federal prison system, you have what's called the INS detention facilities, and you see how these illegal aliens, including illegal aliens that have committed serious felonies, you see how they're treated. They are treated better than American citizens. They are treated very well. They are treated very well. They're given good food and good accommodations, and to them it's like a hotel stay. They don't mind it at all.
Well, even if they're not in prison, they get free hospitalization. Their emergency room is their primary care physician. They get free school. And if they get pregnant and have a baby, the baby automatically is an American citizen. And then, of course, you're not going to throw the parents out when the baby is an American citizen. So they get it all, and we get bupkis.
And the end result is very, very simple. It's a choice that you have to make, that those of you out there have to make. If you feel there is nothing wrong with a third world majority taking over the United States and becoming the majority of the United States population, as you have in the state of California. Now, California is already 60% non-white third world population. If you think there's nothing wrong with that, fine, because that's where America's headed. If you think there's nothing wrong with America becoming a third world country, that's where America's headed. America will not be the same country that it was. America will be a completely different country, a completely different society. If you think there's nothing wrong with that, then continue with the present policies. But if you feel that that is a disaster and a catastrophe, then you must organize now to prevent this from continuing, and you must wake the American people up. That's the only answer. So you have to choose. If you think there's nothing wrong with America becoming overwhelmingly non-white, overwhelmingly third world, and American culture disappearing and being swallowed up by third world cultures that are completely foreign and alien to the United States, if you think there's nothing wrong with that, then continue. Continue with what you're doing now. But if you think that that's a disaster, then you must act, because right now we're headed off the cliff. Right now the car is driving about 100 miles an hour, racing to drive us right off the cliff, and and politicians of both parties are responsible. And the so-called conservatives are not really leading on this issue. So if you understand the importance of this issue, then you have to act. And I believe JTF is the answer. I believe our organization is an organization that offers the answer. The Jewish Task Force JTF is an organization that wants to end all illegal immigration to the United States and expel all the illegal aliens from the United States, expel them completely with not giving them good conditions when they're arrested and not giving them any decent conditions whatsoever, and also wants to stop, the only way you can stop, all illegal immigration into the United States. I urge people to go to our website. I urge people to come to our forum and see what we propose, because the future really is in our hands. Shalom.
Shalom.